Chicago in America's Midwest is the third biggest city in the USA, sprawling over 50 square miles on the edge of Lake Michigan. Away from the glamour of the downtown skyscrapers, large areas of the city have been blighted by violence. Dozens of bizarrely named gangs battle with each other for control of territory and criminal supremacy. These clashes have led to Chicago becoming the murder capital of the USA. The police are fighting back with a series of targeted operations and new, tough anti-gang laws. Slowly, the murder rate has begun to drop. In a unique project, 2 British bobbies have been invited to the city to experience the success of the American cops. PC's Andy Samuels and Chris Piggott have 17 years' experience in the police. As part of the elite proactive team in the Thames Valley, they routinely tackle hardcore criminals, burglars and drug dealers.
Stand still!
In line with the rest of Britain, they've found they're increasingly dealing with organized gangs and higher levels of gun crime, something the Americans have been coping with for years.
It's going to be interesting, going to be very interesting. They've obviously got a lot more of a gang problem than we've got, although we've got an increase in gangs at the minute. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they deal with it compared to us.
Yeah, I've had a little look on the internet and the gun crime out there is rife. So yeah, a very violent city by the sound of it. Should be an experience.
It comes down to common sense in the end. I mean, these boys carry guns, they deal with gun culture every day. So I think let them deal with the initial bit and then we'll get out and muck in if we need to.
Yeah, I'm expecting them to be, you know, particularly well organised. I mean, they're used to dealing with this sort of thing all day. I hope that their training is going to be sort of top-notch and they know what they're doing.
You'd have thought so. Yeah. Worst case scenario, I get shot. That's the worst case scenario, but hopefully that won't happen. You just got to put the trust in the people you're working with.
Exactly. If you've got no trust in your fellow officer, then what else can you do? What can you do?
Andy and Chris will spend a month with the tactical gang unit of the Cicero Police.
You want to play that way? I'm just you want to have an attitude and I have an attitude? I'm just saying what kind of hard on you got against me, man.
There are many similarities between the British and American legal systems, but the policing styles are very different. In the UK, the police are sworn to keep the peace, and by and large receive the support of the general public. In the USA, officers are part of a law enforcement team and serve a largely unsympathetic public.
I asked you to come over here.
What's this?
With a history of organized crime stretching back to the gangster Al Capone, the area is notorious for drugs, prostitution and murder. In recent years, the population of Cicero, 100,000 people, packed into 4 square miles, has changed. There's been an influx from Mexico, and 75% of the population is now Hispanic. As Andy and Chris arrive at the headquarters of the gang unit, what will they learn out on the streets with the Cicero Police? Sergeant Gene Talsma briefs the team.
5 or 6 different incidents in our town.
It's a stark warning of what's in store.
One of them including shots being fired into a vehicle, missing a girl's head just by inches. There was a car chase and another incident. They beat up another guy with a crowbar. So if anyone sees these Latin Kings and this black and silver Suburban that's got temp tags on it, tow it, find out, get some info on it. We have 2 officers from London. They have their vests and everything, so they're ready to go. That's Chris and Andy. All right, guys.
Their briefings are quite similar to ours in you'll get all the team in and just tell them what's been going on overnight, what's been happening, and anything we need to look for, including vehicles, people of interest, anyone who needs arresting and that type of thing. So, yeah, it's very similar. Obviously, the main difference here is that most of the scroats carry guns, whereas at home it's very hard to get hold of, which is a good thing about the UK at the moment. They're obviously kept very busy.
Chris discovers that only certain officers are invited to join the tactical gang unit.
Basically, you are putting this unit due to your work habit. So most of these people who are here were brought here because they're good workers.
Yeah.
And because they're aggressive and because they don't need to be babysat for.
Yeah.
So basically, we have the cream of the crop.
It's a highly dedicated team of officers.
Cicero Police, open the door, man.
You did 6 months or what, that PCP?
Wrong person, what are you throwing at me for?
It's $1 million operation. We have to reuse
I'm just nowhere in the ends, trying to stack my peas, spreading love, setting trends, keeping up the beats. I ain't no killer, ain't got nothing to brag about. This one's going out to all the residents run their mouth. It's one stone representing for the UK. Whatever, whoever, but I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah, 391. Take the call. Dogs barking.
Yeah, Marcus, I'll get right on that.
But it seems not everyone appreciates the hard work they put in.
Well, the general public of Cicero really does not cooperate or appreciate or respect, for that matter, the police. They perceive us as the enemy for one reason or another, when in all actuality we're here to protect the public.
Yeah.
But I mean, without the public getting involved and giving us information and helping us, you know, our hands get tied.
So with such a marked divide between the police and public, how will Chris and Andy cope with their first shift? The two British officers split up and patrol in separate unmarked cars. Chris takes his place with Bill and Savage. Andy travels with Jason and Vito. They're the first to get a call. A man dressed in gang colours has threatened a woman at gunpoint.
Supposedly a male walking down the road. He's supposedly got a handgun on him.
There's 2 gangs in this area, the Latin Kings and the Satan Disciples. They're saying it's a Latin King.
They spot him at the side of the road. The banger's got a violent reputation.
Here we go, put your hands up.
Let's go. Come on, man. Let's go, Kilo.
I just came out of prison.
Hey, what, man? You got something or what? You know what? You better shut the hell up. All you do is shoot up the damn area. Yeah? Go back.
Ma'am,
Or you get arrested too. That's my mom, man.
Ma'am, step back.
Put your hands back. Man, look at them. They're winners. You're winners, man. Don't
Ma'am,
touch me,
step
dog.
back or you're gonna get
All right,
arrested.
man?
You know what? I just don't like your attitude.
Why you taking him? What are you doing? What are you doing? Put your hands.
Andy gets stuck in as the man's mother and brother fight to free him from the cops.
That's all. I just wanted to hit him.
I ain't drunk. I want to go home. You are hitting me. You are hitting me, man.
Everyone is cuffed. It looks like some drugs have been discarded on the pavement.
Oh, yours? No, it's not mine. No? Not mine? Not mine? Not mine? You didn't catch it on me? No?
As soon as we pulled up, they've detained all 3 of them. They've all started chopsing off and getting Larry, and even the mum was getting upset about the fact that her 2 boys were being searched. Obviously, both males were being searched to see if we could locate the weapon. No weapons been found at this time, but we have seized some, as they will put it, narcotics. Basically what they found is an 8-ball of cocaine.
Chris has joined the hunt for the gun and helps Bill search the scene.
They said he might have dropped a gun back here somewhere. I'm just going to take a look around real quick. Hey, we got nothing. We're going to get out of here.
And you'll do what? You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. You ain't shit, bitch. You ain't shit. I'll you ain't do nothing. Spit.
3-9, we need a female.
Jason spots the suspect's girlfriend in a nearby restaurant and brings her out for questioning.
Put your hands on the car. Any weapons on you? You have any warrants or anything?
No, sir. I can't even eat.
Let me ask you something. Why you got an attitude when no one's got an attitude with you,
Because
huh?
I'm sorry, sir. I mean,
Okay?
I don't know.
Well, don't have a attitude with me. I'm talking to you like a gentleman, okay? You want to see the nice side of me? That's fine. You want to see the jag-off side? You'll get that too.
I'm sitting in there and they come in and take me.
Everybody's got a attitude out here.
The victim then comes forward to identify her attacker.
Punk, he's a drug dealer, big time. The mafia's looking for his ass.
Chicago's looking for him?
Yeah, mafia, Mexican mafia. He stole a lot of cocaine from them.
Yeah, he's one that does all the shooting. Yeah.
I didn't even do shit to you.
Yeah?
I do shit to you, bitch.
You're the shooter.
You're not shooter, bitch. Shooter.
Yep. She just ID'd you as pulling a gun out on her.
Yeah, right.
So now you're going to jail. Have a nice day.
How you like it now, baby? Now they got you. Who you gonna kill now?
You smoke crack all day, right?
Yeah, I don't smoke something.
Hey, do me a favor, get her back.
Where's the gun? Man, the up, man.
You're also being brought in for a narcotic investigation, okay?
Why?
There's a narcotic investigation in progress.
The attitude, I think, is what's doing it.
Spread your legs.
One hit me, two hit me like they did, man.
I ain't gonna hit
Where's the gun, man? You think I'm gonna walk down to Cermak with a gun, man? That girl smokes crack. I wanna go home, man.
Face the car.
Oh, face the car, man. Hit me, bitch. Hit me. Come on. Hit me. I like when you hit me, man, because it makes you look good. It makes you look good, boy.
Everyone involved is taken away for further questioning.
All right, yeah. Take it tripping, okay?
All right, I want to talk to the fucking mayor, man.
Talk to
Look at this shit, man. Look at this shit. You see this, buddy Cheetos?
He's a gangster and he wants to cry.
The banger's girlfriend and family are soon released. Unable to find the gun and with no proof he had ditched the drugs, the police were forced to release the suspect without charge. As the British Bobbies return to their hotel, Andy feels it's been a satisfactory day.
We rolled on a call, as they put it. A male had pointed a handgun in the street at a member of the public. We found the gentleman. We were first unit on scene. He was walking down the street with another male and his mum. He's not unknown to have taken shots at police officers before in Chicago. So he was arrested. He started to kick up. The officer was on his own. There was nobody else apart from me. So yeah, hands on, into an entangled arm lock, into cuffs, and back into one of the cars.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
In part 2, the assignment becomes a lot tougher for Andy and Chris. They get in the faces of the gangs, uncover hidden weapons, and encounter firsthand the victims of the violence. 2 British bobbies have been invited to Chicago to see how the police deal with gang violence. In the front line against the street crime, a Cicero's tactical gang unit and Andy and Chris from the Thames Valley Police are about to discover just how tough the problem is. Gang violence around Chicago claimed the lives of more than 400 people last year. Hundreds more were wounded in drive-by shootings. The violence is mirrored in Cicero as Commander Jerry Chilada, the boss of the gang unit, explains to Chris.
Last year we had 15 homicides within our town of Cicero, and they only solved 1. So the detectives used to handle it, so we pretty much inherited that. In the first 6 weeks, we solved 3 of those 15 homicides.
Clearing up these cold case homicides is just part of Cicero's new zero-tolerance policy towards gangs, as Andy is about to discover out on patrol with Ace and Eric.
These are members of Latin Count Street Gang. They're hanging out on the porch of this house that we're behind right now. We're gonna sneak up on them.
Street gangs are a big problem in many different communities in our area. They intimidate the average citizen with the criminal activity that they're involved in. And they fund their gangs with the drug transactions and sales. That's the money that they use to purchase weapons and to operate their gangs within our town.
We do have certain laws that are not necessarily state laws, but they are town laws.
Yeah.
Curfew, for instance, is one. Hanging out, known gang members hanging out in groups of 3 or more is against Town of Cicero ordinances. And basically, you have an option as a police officer when you enforce a town code. You could bring the subject in and lock them in the lockup and make them post a bond, or what you can do is write them what we call administrative ticket.
Step down here. When everybody steps down to the sidewalk, step down here, put your back to me, keep your hands in the air. What are you doing?
special? Fellas, you guys are all coming with us tonight, okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Harsh as it seems, this group of young bangers are clearly breaking local gang laws.
Because when you sit on the porch, 8 deep, that shit ain't happening, okay? You understand what I'm saying? Okay? We've told you guys numerous times, don't be out here.
Ask him how he cares about gang.
It's a Latin count sitting on your porch. That's when you lose your right, okay? All right? I'll tell you what. If you don't understand it, we'll explain it to you more clearly when we get into the station, okay? Be a man about it.
All right, I'll be the man about it. I'm not saying nothing about it, dude.
The cops know groups like this are often armed, and Eric searches for hidden weapons. He finds a baseball bat.
They got the colors on, and that's how the shooting starts, and we stop it before it happens.
Even when I came up, a car drove by, and they're all like this, looking to see who's in it, getting ready, you know? So that's why they gotta go.
For Andy, zero tolerance on gangs is the right tactic.
I think the most impressive thing, I'm not sure in regards to policing, but certainly the way they've just got in the faces of all these gangs, and they've been allowed to have a zero tolerance to disrupt and upset these gangs' activities, which is what they try and get us to do back home, but don't allow us to have a zero tolerance policy because we've obviously got different rules and regulations back home.
On the way to questioning the arrested youths, Ace explains the punishment facing them.
They'll be held in our lockup till probably about 2, 3 in the morning. They'll have to pay $75 bond to get out.
But just around the corner, they run into a lone banger on his bike.
Let's grab this and do it too. Grab it. Hey, come here! Come here.
You should get baggier pants.
The vivid red colours of the Latin Counts are an obvious sign of trouble for Ace and Eric.
You got anything on you?
I got shot in my hip. Why'd you get shot? Because of this, right? And look at you. How old are you, man? I'm 23. You're a grown-ass man and you're out here acting like a fool, man.
The banger's clearly concerned about something.
I ain't trying to do nothing wrong.
You ain't trying to do anything wrong?
He tries to distract Eric from searching his bike.
My leg.
He's got good cause to be worried as Eric searches under the saddle.
Oh, darn.
Oh, darn.
Slinging.
Oh, darn. Oh, you're going to jail.
It's a stash of weed hidden in a crisp packet.
Too bad that's a felony.
It's by the park, so guess what? You're going to county.
Sir, why do I have to go to county, sir?
Okay, because you got that by the park.
I'm not from around here. I don't even know people right here. I don't want to go to the county, sir, to tell you the truth.
17 bags. He's out here obviously driving around selling cannabis off his bicycle. Technically, we could seize his bicycle, but we're gonna be nice today. I have done it before. I'm not above doing it. I have done it before. And as you can see, he's wearing his street gang colors. He's also a Latin count. And, now he's going to jail.
He joins his fellow Latin Counts in the back of the van. So that's 9 gang members taken off the street for the night. For Andy, the way the gang unit targets the criminals feels strangely familiar.
They disrupt their behaviour, their, as it sounds, we do disruptive patrolling, getting in their faces as much as possible, stopping them from working.
Chris explains his own force's firearms policy to Sergeant Tony Mazza.
The main difference is the guns. None of our officers have guns. We're not even trained. With 2% of the force are armed, and they have to have authority to carry that arm on them. They can have it within the vehicle locked away, but they only get called out to sort of armed incidents, and we don't get armed incidents. I mean, most of our robbers and your druggies and that carry knives. Very rarely do we encounter anyone with firearms.
Good.
It is good, yeah. But the trouble is, they are out there.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we do come across them, because you can't do anything back.
Across town, Eric and Ace are now on their way to recover a shotgun. They've had a tip-off from their last prisoner who grassed up his gang to try and avoid jail.
the last guy that we arrested with the marijuana, he opened his heart to us and told us that members of his street gang are supposed to be hiding a 410 gauge shotgun in the basement of this apartment complex. We're gonna go over there now and check for it, see if we can locate it and recover it. He thinks he's in more trouble than he actually is. You know, we kind of bullshitted him a little bit. But the thing about it is this: 390. Guns don't sit. You know, it's a Friday night, it's active, so there's a chance that it might not be there because, you know, they might have it out somewhere waiting to use it on somebody.
Our unit alone recovered 6 different handguns in 1 week.
Yeah.
So you come to the town, there's definitely a lot of handguns out there.
Finding the gang's guns is a priority for the unit.
Satan disciples, the SDs, are hiding a gun over here in the empty lot under some rubbish, and it said that they hide the gun there in case a rival gang comes by.
This gun's a .22 revolver. It holds 10 rounds. It's empty right now. Another gun off the street.
The team's search of a basement turns up a package. Disappointingly, it turns out to be drugs, and no shotgun is found. A recovered revolver has been tampered with.
Pretty heavy.
Try rubbing it off, the serial number.
Oh yeah, they try to deface the number up. But they have ways, the lab has ways of raising the number up. A lot of time the gang members take them in burglaries. They rob people's houses and steal their guns from their houses.
The only time I've seen a gun like that before was when I had a holster when I was a kid and it was a cat gun. It looked just like that.
No.
The amount of weapons hidden around the streets is a new experience for Chris, but he's catching on fast.
They put them in locations where they've got quick access. It could be out in the open air, could be in a bush, could be behind some, an old box, behind generators, anything. They hide them anywhere and everywhere. And then if another gang comes past shooting or they want to get the gun, they run to this location, retrieve it, and then it goes straight back there, as soon as the old bill turn up on plot, because they don't want to get nicked, they don't want to get caught with a gun, because there's obviously very stiff penalties for walking around with a loaded weapon.
Chris is soon on the hunt for another weapon with Bill and Joe.
Right now we're going to check a location that my informant gave me to look for a gun.
As part of the zero-tolerance crackdown, every firearm they can take out of circulation makes Cicero a safer place. From bitter experience, the cops know that even one gun can result in dozens of shootings.
Our informant called us up, told us it was a stash spot for a gang. Most of the guns are really beat up. They're usually revolvers. They prefer them. They don't misfire. They don't leave casings. They don't like to leave evidence laying around. One less gun on the street, so.
In America, every cop is armed.
And something I found which is really strange is that they have to buy their own firearms here. They're meant to be armed, but they have to buy their own weapons. They get supplied with the rounds, so they get supplied with bullets and cartridges and what have you. But they don't get supplied with the weapons, so they choose what weapon they want. Yesterday we went out with Eric and Edgar, and we had a bit more of a taste of their gun culture out here. Eric brought in his large assault rifle, which he paid $3,000 for, plus $800 for the laser light.
You want to keep this dot in between these two sites, sure, to make them 3 in a row. And your sight picture should be on the other side of this.
Yeah. Rip the tissue in half. Nothing like a bit of sophisticated ear muffling equipment. And this is nothing like a bit of sophisticated ear muffling equipment. Okay.
In fact, Chris has never fired a gun before in his life.
Nice. They should have brought more around. We're done. We'll fuse them all up. Went off and fired off some guns on an old disused driving movie. It was like being in the movie ourselves. That was got 3 rounds at an old bucket, which is like an approved practice centre, which is quite bizarre, really. You don't get away with that in health and safety, I hope.
Andy explains to Gene about his work back in the Thames Valley.
So you guys travel around, you go in different police districts.
Yeah.
Well, what is your job?
We work in a town called Reading, which is about 25, 30 miles outside London. At the minute, we're targeting, as we call them, yardies, but we just go out and arrest them and harass them, get in their faces. We had a shooting the other day, which obviously, for us, is a big thing. It's a major incident, and makes the papers and news headlines and is on the media everywhere.
How'd they get the guns? I mean...
Buy them anywhere. Black market.
Yeah, they're accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted one, they could get one.
Yeah. And it's...
Did they ever think about supplying all you guys with guns?
The powers that be like to retain this good old British Bobby with the tit on his head and So, you know, they don't want to scare the public too much. If we all become armed, they think that's the final straw. Because if we're armed, the bad guys are armed, so it escalates.
A couple years ago, we had as much as almost 80 shootings in 1 year. Yeah, so, and it's, you know, to work shooting after shooting after shooting is really very tiresome.
Yeah.
Last year we had 15 people killed from shootings.
Yeah.
And we had upper into the 70s as far as number of people that were actually hit.
Sure.
And 15 of them died. And, you know, it's just very tiring.
Yeah, I bet.
Very tiring.
For a police area of just 4 square miles, they're alarming statistics. They're in stark contrast to the UK and show the different scale of crime the American cops have to deal with on a daily basis.
Cicero, Murder Town, Shy Town and shit. Cicero. Cicero, 2-6, Murder Town, King Killer, Disciple, Killer, White OGs, bow down, get gunned down.
Later that night, there's a call to a shooting. Chris is working with Kirby.
We're on a way to be called in as a drive-by shooting, possibly 2 victims down at this time.
All right, we got people shot in the legs, wherever.
Andy is dashing to the scene with Donnie and Marcus.
Everything's happening today, man. Move the out of the way, you 2454, right, Marcus? SDs. That's an SD location. All right, kill him.
There's still a chance the gunman might be in the area. And in a shooting like this, with at least 2 victims, every member of the tactical unit has to respond.
Fired numerous shots into this group.
On the porch, the first victim. The man with the white trousers has been shot in the back.
Nothing, man. You didn't say shit, man. You didn't say nothing.
All I heard was pop, 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 pop.
Where you shot?
In the back, you got another one in here.
All right, who else is shot?
One there.
The guy in there's got him in the legs.
There's another casualty inside the house.
They came out of his pants. Watch out, you guys.
He's in a lot of pain and has been hit twice.
Which leg?
Jose Corral? Where do you live? You live on 18th and 59th or something?
Stay on 63rd and Austin.
63rd and Austin?
Get over here fast.
I was 6
She was shot in front of my house. She was shot in those
Where's the flashlight, please?
Hurry up and get over.
Gents?
Shine it this way.
As the paramedics work on the injuries, Gene tries to get any information that can lead to the gunman.
You guys didn't say nothing to you? No. Did you see a car pass earlier?
No.
Say your address.
He also has to stop him losing consciousness.
Number.
3600 South Austin.
A shocked flatmate tells Ace he only heard the gunfire.
Let me ask you this, okay? Did you see who walked up?
I just heard pow, 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 pow. I was in the room with the kid, man.
Was it a fat mother or was it a skinny little rat?
I ain't seen nobody. And I would tell you. You know, I told you last time I would tell you, bro.
One of the guys that live at this address or hangs at this address was involved with the gang. He wanted out of the gang. He's been hanging with these guys, trying to stay away from the guys. They put a SOS on him, which is a shoot on sight. So we're thinking it's the SDs that came over and to shoot him.
He feels like walking.
He's walking. Shot in the back. Jimmy wants to walk. Yeah.
Amazingly, the man shot in the back walks to the ambulance. Kirby thinks his injuries could be worse than they look.
The guy in the back, well, that can go in either way. Depends on where the bullet went and when it went in. At this point, the guy shot twice, one in the leg and one in the calf. I would assume he's probably in good condition.
Go from that tree, Mike, if you can, all the way around to this tree.
A cordon is thrown up and the unit conduct a search of the shooting scene.
We're looking for shell casings to identify the possible gun that was used in this shooting.
Each shell case they find is marked for forensics.
I'll say 9, but it's just a guess. 9mm.
With so many shootings in Cicero, the paramedics are expert at dealing with bullet wounds. They start the treatment immediately before the victims even get to hospital. Both men made a full recovery and have now moved out of the house, but the gunmen have never been traced.
The first actual shooting we've attended where someone has been shot and hit, 2 people have been hit in the leg, one guy was in the kitchen. He tried to come out the gang. They took exception to it and decided to go around and blast him away. 5 rounds shot at him from close range. I think they were just giving him a lesson because it would have been hard to miss the bloke in the head or the chest to sort of finish him off. It was both the fellas had been shot in the leg, so I imagine they put low bullets in on him. But he had a nasty bullet wound in his calf on his leg and was losing a lot of blood. And then that was about it.
In part 3, the unit tries to diffuse the tension on the street after the shootings. And Chris and Andy find even more differences between themselves and the Cicero cops. The 2 British bobbies have now been in Chicago for 2 weeks, learning how the cops cope with the rampant street violence. On their way to another shift, Andy and Chris are at last coming to terms with the confusing gang culture. Or are they?
I don't know where the gangs come from. I don't really understand. I understand that they've got this divide, that some of them are seen as people, some are seen as folks, and some gangs work alongside each other.
We've got the 2-2s, the 2-6s,
Randy Nuns,
the Vikings, the Manic Latin Disciples.
Manic Street Preachers.
Yes. What else have you got? You've got the Satan Disciples.
Yeah.
You've got, have I said the Latin Kings? Have I said that? What the cuddly toy? Did I mention that?
2-2s.
No, that's a gun.
You said the 2-6s.
Did I?
2-6.
That's not a gun.
It may sound childish, but on the streets it's deadly serious.
We got information from Chicago 10th District. The 2-6 and the Maniac Latin Disciples are heating up again. Last year we had a big war going on. A lot of people got shot. A lot of people got killed. It's starting up again. Chicago had 3 shootings. One of them was a homicide. They're thinking the maniacs from our town are involved.
If a kid comes from another different suburbs or a different city, a rival gangbanger or a rival gang member, might just come up to him and just shoot him for no reason, just because he might be wearing a wrong colors or might have a certain hat or might have a certain design on his jacket, you know. Maniac Latin Disciples are baby blue and black. 2-6 are also blue and black.
Also, we're getting a lot of complaints. 19th and 48 Court. Ashland Vikings and GD are starting up.
The GDs, Gangster Disciples, they're usually blue and black also. Then you also have the Ashland Vikings. Their colors are green and black.
The GDs graffitied the neighborhood. 2 days ago, we caught 3 Ashland Vikings in the act. They fled the area in a van, led on a small little car chase. They tried to bail out. We got them. And like I said, we got the paint. We got the guy. He said the GDs are coming over messing with them. Then they graffitied on the wall, and they wanted to go mark over their stuff. So we got to keep an eye on that 19th to 48 Court.
Worryingly, more graffiti has appeared, as Savage explains to Chris.
They're talking about one of the guys that got killed. The maniac shot the 2-2 boys. And what they're doing is, it could be 2 things. They're just remembering him by writing his name up here, or they're going to retaliate against the opposite gang and possibly do a burn against one of the opposite rival gangs. So it could be a shooting today, tomorrow, but they're obviously up to something by graffitiing today. in remembrance of this, the wicked guy.
Right. A lot of times, us as police, we drive through the neighborhoods and we just read the walls. A lot of times, the walls is like a newspaper. I mean, if they went and shot somebody the night before, they would actually put on the wall or on the garage. They would spray paint their gang, and they would put down the subject that they shot. Say they shot a subject named Flacco.
Yeah.
They would say, you know, burn in hell, Flacco.
Yeah.
They would actually write it on the garage, taking, you know, claim that they did the shooting.
With so much tension on the streets, Marcus and Donnie have taken Andy to hunt out any gangs spraying graffiti.
Right now, you're in the most trouble because I seen you step on a car all hard and shit, you know? You gonna tell me the truth? You gonna tell me the truth? You gonna go home today?
Alright. It stands for it.
Don't make up some bullshit now.
Man, honestly, he tagged it wrong. I tagged it wrong. It doesn't even stand for anything.
Shut up.
We don't gangbang.
What was gonna tag off? Be honest. Harrison Gents?
Eventually they admit to tagging the garage in a gang dispute.
This is what they were spray painting. Ace? What sign is that? Who is it?
Harrison Gents.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Harrison Gent Nation. These guys are championship, so this is terrible. It's terrible. This guy spray paint all over his hands. He says he did it because the guys down the street, they became involved in the altercation. So instead of leaving like a normal person would, like you or I would, he decides he's going to come over here and tag a gang that he doesn't belong to. That's what he's saying. He expects us to believe.
Yeah, right.
Because, man, I'm not a gangbanger.
Why would you tag? You think he's gonna scare them? What if they got a strap? Think it's gonna scare them?
They're with us, sir.
So why would you tag up?
I'm sorry.
So why would you tag? Why don't you call Cicero Police? Everything coming out of your mouth is bullshit to me right now, man. Whose car is this?
It's my car.
It's your car? All right. Because I like honesty, and I haven't heard one honest shit. This car's gonna be Cicero Police and it'll cost you a G. That's what it's gonna cost you. Shut up, man. Shut the f. Forget it. I'm done. I asked you guys 8 zillion questions. You guys haven't told me the truth yet.
It's a bit of a, you know, a bravery thing, if you like. They're tagging their sign on different gangs' neighbourhoods. So that's what we've caught them in the act doing. We've recovered the spray can from the car and also some open beer bottles, for which they'll obviously get dealt with at the police station.
Another potential shooting has been averted as the group's car is impounded and they're taken to the station. As part of the zero-tolerance approach to gangs, the graffiti is cleaned up within hours. But with trouble still brewing, the unit are stopping every car that may contain gang members.
Came out to Laramie Avenue here, which is a main thoroughfare. The unmarked squad was in front of me. This car here was going about 50 miles an hour, driving right up on them, riding on their bumper, pulled them over on a traffic stop, and there's open bottles of booze in the car. In America, you can't drive with open alcohol in the car. Go to jail.
Back over in England, certainly pull someone over if we saw them drinking beer. We haven't got a jurisdiction to arrest them with an open tin, but we'd breath test the driver anyway. The thing is, these lads are 16, so if you're under the age of 18, we've got the right to confiscate beer. If it's open, we just pour it away. And if they've got tins that are closed, we can confiscate that if they're underage. If they're overage, as I say, there's not a lot we can do if someone's drinking beer in a car.
Stand up.
With a range of local laws behind them, there are dozens of ways of getting the bangers off the street. As the two are arrested for having open beer in the car, marked differences are beginning to appear with the way the British and Americans deal with drivers who have been drinking. It's a contrast that becomes more obvious to Chris later that night. Edgar and Eric have spotted a car that clearly shouldn't be on the road.
Hi. What the hell did you do to your car?
I don't know. I hit something off on the corner.
387 a plate.
The driver seems unconcerned.
What'd you just hit, man?
I don't know.
You hit something. You hit a car.
Do you understand the problem I'm having with this right now? No? You don't understand? You have no tires on this side of your car.
Well, I've been trying to find a tire place to go to.
But you understand that's not normal to drive around in your car without 2 tires. You understand where I have a problem with this? Why something in my head's like, this is strange?
No.
Have you been drinking or something?
No, sir. I had 2 beers at dinner, and that would have been 4 o'clock.
Chris finds even more crash damage.
It's on the back as well. You've got it back into something.
That would have been by my garage.
Your garage fit that as well? What, today?
Yeah, I own
You hit the garage today?
I own
He's having a bad day.
That's incredible. He said he's hit a pothole. The car's written off.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't hit a bunch of people's cars and then trying to run away from it.
He's smashed up at the front. He's smashed all the front up a bit. I was looking at it. I was just trying to see if there was any paint on it from any other cars. I don't know what he's hit. He's done a job on it, that's for sure.
I only had 2 drinks the whole time.
Well, you know what? I've been a cop for 12 years. Everyone I asked if they've been drinking, they all say the same thing, 2 beers.
The man's mangled car is taken to the car pound. But with their minds focused on the street gangs, Edgar and Eric decide not to carry out a long series of sobriety tests. They allow the man to walk away and hail a taxi. His seemingly relaxed attitude to road safety has struck a nerve with the 2 British bobbies.
Next level. There is a big difference in policing here, especially with the unit that we're working with. They don't seem to concentrate on anything apart from being gang related. If it's gang related, they'll deal with it. Anything else, like I suppose it's a difference in the law really, but what we class as drink drivers that are blatant drink drivers that can just about stand up, fall out of a car, they're not interested in. They tend to let on their way, which does concern me, and it concerns Chris as well.
I've seen people that are clearly high and drunk, totally wasted, and they've stopped them because their driving's erratic, and they just let them go on their way.
Obviously back home, if we let that person go, and they then go and have an accident, kill somebody, damage something, and obviously that person finds out that we've stopped them just prior to the accident, we're deeply in the shit.
Hi. How you guys doing? How much you had to drink tonight, David? A couple of beers with him. All right, guys. Okay.
What's your name?
Hector Favela.
Favela? Yeah? Where are you going?
No,
You parked? Were you drinking? A little bit? Only 2? Yeah?
You're wasted.
Hey, next time we see you driving that car, you're gonna go to jail, buddy.
Back on the streets, Chris is on another call with Bill and Joe.
Guy running down the street screaming for help. So we're gonna slide by and kind of see what's going on.
A man's been spotted causing a disturbance outside the rail yards.
What, man?
Hold still.
What is your problem? You've been drinking? There's no problem. No? I want to go home. I want to go home. That's what my...
Stay in the car.
Great.
Don't
Thank
move.
you. Thanks.
Don't move.
I'm trying to go home. Thank you.
What are you punching stuff for and yelling and screaming?
Because I want to go home. Grab me again.
You gonna relax
You live in
now?
LaGrange or you live in Riverside? Hey.
Where do you want me to live?
I don't know. You tell me.
Huh?
You tell me.
Where's it going to cause you more pain?
Are you gonna relax now?
Yeah.
All right. Sit up and put your hands on the hood. Put your hands on the hood. Stay still.
I live in Riverside. I'm trying to go home. I want to go home because I want to fucking pass out.
They kicked him out of the rail yard or something.
How'd you get over here?
Because I live here.
This is Cicero. You're not in fucking Riverside.
I live down the street.
Put your hand back in the car. You live down what street?
Is this street Harlem or is it not?
No.
Harlem.
You're in Austin.
Oh, well, then I'm far away from home.
Yeah, you are.
I know.
Put your hand back in the car.
No, your problems with them people. Arlington, keep your hands on the car.
There they are.
He's going.
As much for his own safety as anything else, he's arrested.
See, why couldn't you just comply?
I'm trying to get home, man. I don't want to walk home. I've been trying to call my friends so I can pick me up, man.
We answered a call of a man screaming for help. It ended up being a person that was a little bit intoxicated. Obviously, he's kind of lost. He's not from the area. Took him in for disorderly conduct just to get him out the street and make sure he doesn't hurt himself or anybody else by running around the middle of the street.
So you just want to go back home?
What's your head?
I'm just trying to get back home.
All right, have a seat.
What the hell, man?
I just want to get home. That's what he was saying, right? I just want to get home. Well, he's going to find his way home, I guess.
I'll find Cicero Police Station first, then I'll find his way home.
Annie and Chris are now halfway through their time in Cicero. Next time on Road Wars USA, they see how the gangbangers react to getting shot. The unit sets out to target drug dealers. And Chris runs down a fleeing suspect.
What's your problem, eh? What's your problem?
Dean Superman Kane shows he's still got what it takes in brand new Las Vegas, next year on Sky One. He's a very handsome lad. Whilst over on Sky Movies 2, meanwhile, there's action and thrills with Keira Knightley, swapping Beverly Hills for the life of a bounty hunter in the premiere of Domino.